Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to our beautiful, soulful morning. Let's start our morning by closing our eyes, sitting in gratitude, and feel the gratitude emerging from every cell of your being. Thankful to your wonderful body, to your wonderful surroundings, to all that you are grateful for, your house, the food, the people. Grateful to Mother Nature, grateful that you have work to do, grateful for all that you're blessed with, which is so much more. Grateful for the blessings, grateful that you're supported, guarded, protected by these unseen angels, guardians, spirit guides, and so many more. Grateful that we get time to go inward, to opt for living for a conscious life, to tune into our subconscious mind, to be able to get downloads or connect or see what life is, how life is unfolding or has unfolded. Grateful to have solutions in life. Grateful that the mystery gets unveiled. Grateful that our life matters because each one of us is letting ourselves becoming a channel, a conduit for spreading love, joy, and happiness in one way or another in this beautiful universe. And now feel the beautiful light which is coming in from your body, coming in from your core, your source. And the more you share this light, the more there is light in your life. So feel every fiber of your being illuminated. And you as a channel, just spreading that light in every core of your being to every possible being. See the light traveling from your essence, your being, your surrounding into the world. See yourself radiating so much of positivity, so much of light, that whoever touches base with you feels that warmth, that tingling of that light. Your vibes becoming so overlifting, so beautiful, so uplifting. And now take another minute, and whatever it is that you wish to do with your life, think about that and follow that up, or start your self, beautiful meditation with extreme gratitude practice. So you can take those 100 seconds to be grateful, and then another 100 seconds to think of the intention that you've sown for the day, or for your this fortnight, or for your life ahead, knowing that this is a manifestation stage. So take your 2, 3 minutes. If you get off track, center balance align with the help of your breath work. Life is what we create of it. So maybe we nurtured into creating something magical, something beautiful. Now do 1 minute of conscious breathing in, breathing out. Once done, just fold your hands and send out a prayer of whatever comes in your heart. And now, spread your hands as if you're becoming a channel of blessings. And whatever you have wished for yourself, may that multiply and amplify, spread those blessings, that those are duplicated into many, many, many versions for many, many people in the world. So become a channel of blessings. And now let's start a beautiful morning by reading our wonderful book that we've been reading, Many Lives, Many Masters, and just see what message is coming for all of us this morning through these wonderful books. Today we are on chapter number 8. 3 weeks passed before our next session. On my vacation, lying on a tropical beach, I had the time and distance to reflect on what had transpired with Catherine. Hypnotic regression to past lives with the detailed observations and explanations of objects, processes, and facts, which she had no knowledge of in her normal waking state. Improvement in her symptoms through the regressions, improvement not even remotely achieved by conventional psychotherapy over the last 18 months of treatment. Chillingly accurate revelations from the after death spiritual state, conveying knowledge she had no access to. Spiritual poetry and lessons about the dimensions after death, about life and death, rebirth and rebirth, from master spirits who spoke with the wisdom and in a style well beyond Catherine's capabilities. There was indeed a lot to contemplate. Over the years, I had treated many hundreds, perhaps thousands of psychiatric patients, and they reflected the entire spectrum of emotional disorders. I had directed inpatient units at 4 major medical schools. I spent years in psychiatric emergency rooms, outpatient clinics, and various other settings evaluating and treating outpatients. I knew all about auditory and visual hallucinations and the delusions of schizophrenia. I had treated many patients with borderline syndromes and hysterical character disorders, including split or multiple personalities. I had been a career teacher in drug and alcohol abuse, funded by the National Institute of Drug Abuse, and I was very familiar with the gamut of drug effects on the brain. Catherine had none of these symptoms or syndromes. What had occurred was not a manifestation of psychiatric illness. She was not psychotic, not out of touch with reality, and she had never ever suffered from hallucinations, seeing or hearing things not actually there, or delusions, false beliefs. She had not used drugs and she had no sociopathic traits. She did not even have a hysterical personality and she did not have dissociative tendencies. That is, she was generally aware of what she was doing and thinking, did not function on automatic pilot, and had never had any split or multiple personalities. The material she produced was often beyond her conscious capabilities in both style and content. Some of it was particularly psychic, such as a reference to specific events and facts from my own past. Example, the knowledge about my father and my son, as well as from her own. She had no knowledge that she had never ever had access to or accumulated in her present life. The knowledge, as well as the whole experience, was alien to her culture and upbringing and contrary to many of her beliefs. Catherine is a relatively simple and honest person. She's not a scholar, and she could not have invented the facts, details, historical events, descriptions, and poetry that came through her. As a psychiatrist, a scientist, I was certain that the material originated from some portion of her unconscious mind. It was real beyond any doubt. And even if Catherine were a skilled actress, she could not have recreated these happenings. The knowledge was too accurate and too specific, lying beyond her capacity. I pondered the therapeutic purpose of exploring Catherine's past life. Once we had stumbled into the new realm, her improvement was dramatically rapid, without any medicine. There is some powerful curative force in this realm, a force apparently much more effective than conventional therapy or modern medicines. The force includes remembering and relieving not just momentous traumatic events, but also daily insults into our bodies, minds, and egos. In my question, as we scan lifetimes, I was looking for the patterns of these insults. Patterns such as chronic emotional or physical abuse, poverty and starvation, illness and handicaps, persistent persecution, prejudice, repeated failures, and so on. I also kept an eye out for more those more piercing tragedies, such as traumatic death experience, rape, mass catastrophe, or any other horrifying event that that might leave a permanent imprint. The technique was similar to reviewing a childhood in conventional therapy, except that the time frame was several thousand years rather than the usual 10 or 15 minutes. Therefore, my questions were more direct and more leading than in conventional therapy. But the success of her unorthodox exploration was unquestionable. She and others I later would treat with hypnotic regression were being cured with tremendous rapidity. But were there other explanations for Catherine's past life memories? Could the memories be carried in her genes? This possibility is scientifically remote. Genetic memory requires the unbroken passage of genetic material from generation to generation. Catherine lived all over the earth, and her genetic line was interrupted repeatedly. She would die in a flood with her offspring, or be childless, or die in her youth. Her genetic pool ended and was not transmitted. And what of her survival after death and the in between state? There was no body and certainly no genetic material. And yet her memories continued. No genetic explanation had to be discarded. What about Jung's idea of the collective unconsciousness, a reservoir of all human memory and experience that could somehow be tapped into? Divergent cultures often contain similar symbols even in dreams. According to Jung, the collective unconsciousness was not personally acquired but inherited somehow in the brain structure. It includes motives and images that spring anew in every culture without relying upon historical traditions or dissemination. I thought Catherine's memories were too specific to explain my Young's concept. She did not reveal symbols and universal images or motives. She related direct, detailed descriptions of specific people and places. Young's ideas seemed too vague, and there was still the in between state to consider. All in all, reincarnation made the most sense. Catherine's knowledge was not only detailed and specific, but also beyond her conscious capacity. She knew things that could not be gleaned from a book and then temporarily forgotten. Her knowledge could not have been acquired in her childhood and then similarly suppressed or repressed from consciousness. What about the masters and their messages? This came through Catherine, but was not of Catherine. And their wisdom was also reflected in Catherine's memories of lifetimes. I knew that this information and these messages were true. I knew this not only from my many years of careful study of people, their minds, brains, and personalities, but I also knew this intuitively even before the visit from my father and my son. My brain, with its years of careful scientific training, knew this, and my bones also knew. I see pots with some type of oil in them. Despite the 3 week hiatus, Catherine had quickly lapsed into a deep trance. She was enmeshed in another body, in another time. There are different oils in the pots. It seemed to be some type of storehouse or some place where they store things. The pots are red, made out of some type of red earth. They have blue bands around them, blue bands around the top. I see men there. There are men in the cave. They are moving the jars and the pots around, stacking them up and putting them in a certain area. The heads are shaved. They have no hair on their heads. The skin is brown skin. Are you there? Yes. I'm sealing up some of the jars with some type of wax, sealing the top of the jars with the wax. Do you know what the oils are used for? I don't know. Do you see yourself? Look at yourself. Tell me what you look like. She paused as she observed herself. I have a braid. There's a braid in my hair. I have some type of long material garment on. It was a gold border around the outside. It has a gold border around the outside. Do you work for the priests or the men with the shaved heads? It is my job to seal the jars with the wax. That's my job. But you don't know what the jars are used for. They appear to be used in some religious ritual, but I'm not sure what is it. What it is. There's some anointing, something on the heads, something on your heads and your hands. Your hands. I see a bird, a gold bird that's around my neck. It's flat, it has a flat tail, a very flat tail, and its head is pointing down to my feet. To your feet? Yeah, that's the way it must be worn. There's a black, sticky substance. I don't know what it is. Where is it? It is in a marble container. They use that too, but I don't know what for. Is there anything in the cave for you to read so that you can tell me the name of the country, the place where you live, or the date? There's nothing on the wall. There's empty. I do know the name. I progressed in time. There's a white jar, some type of white jar. The handle on the top is gold, some type of gold inlay on it. What is in the jar? Some type of ointment. It has something to do with passage into the other world. Are you the person to be passing now? No, 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 no. It is not, it is no one I know. Is this your job too, to prepare people for this passage? No. The priest must do that, not me. We must keep them supplied with the ointments, the incense. How old do you appear to be now? 16. Are you living with your parents? Yes, a stone house, some type of dwelling. It's not very large, it's very hot and dry. The climate is very hot. Go to your house. I'm there. Do you see other people around in your family? I see a brother and my mother is here and a baby, somebody's baby. Is that your baby? No. What is significant now? Go to something significant that explains your symptoms in your current lifetime. We need to understand it is safe to experience it. Go to the events. She answered in a very soft whisper. Everything in time. I see people dying. People dying, yes. They don't know what it is. An illness suddenly dawned on me that she was again touching on an ancient lifetime, one which she had regressed to previously. In that lifetime, a waterborne plague had killed Catherine's father and one of her brothers. Catherine had also suffered from the illness, but she had not died from it. The people used garlic and other herbs to try to ward off the plague. Catherine had been upset because the dead were not being properly embalmed. But now she had approached her lifetime from a different angle. Does it have something to do with the water? They believe so. Many people are dying. But you didn't die. Not from this. No, I did not die. But you get sick, you become ill. Yes, I'm very cold, very cold. I need water, water. They think it comes from the water, and something black, something dies. Who dies? My father dies, and one brother dies also. My mother is okay. She recovers. She's very weak. They must bury the people. They must bury them because people are upset because it's against religious practices. What was the practice? I marveled at the consistency of a recall, fact for fact, exactly as she had recounted the lifetime previous several months ago. Again, this deviation from the normal burial customs greatly upsets her. People were put in caves. The bodies were kept in caves. But first, the bodies had to be prepared by the priests. They must be wrapped and anointed. They were kept in caves, but the land is flooding. They say the water is bad. Don't drink the water. Is there a way of treating it? Did anything work? We were given herbs, different herbs, the odors, the herbs, and smell the odor. I can smell it. Do you recognize the smell? It's white. They hang it from the ceiling. Is it like garlic? It's hung around. The properties are similar, yes. Its properties. You put it in your mouth, your ears, your nose, everywhere. The odor was strong. It was believed to block the evil spirits from entering your body. Purple fruit or something round with purple covering. Purple skin to it. Do you recognize the culture that you are in? Does it seem familiar? I don't know. Is a purple a fruit of some sort? Tannis. Would that help you? Is that for the illness? It was at that time. Tannis, I repeated, again trying to see if she was talking about what we were referred to as tannin or tannic acid. Is that what they call it? Tannin? Tannis. I just keep hearing tannis. What in the lifetime has buried itself in your current lifetime? Why do you keep coming back here? What is it that is so uncomfortable? The religion, Catherine quickly whispered. The religion of that time, it was a religion of fear. Fear. There were so many things to fear and so many gods. Do you remember the names of any gods? I see eyes, I see a black, some type of, it looks like a jackal. He's in a statue, he's a guardian of some type. I see a woman, a goddess with some type of headpiece on. Do you know her name, the goddess? Osiris, Cyrus, something like that. I see an eye, just an eye on a chain. It's gold, an eye. Yes, who's Hathor? What? Hathor, who's that? I had never heard of Hathor, although I knew that Osiris, is the pronunciation was accurate, was a brother, husband of Isis, a major Egyptian deity. Hathor, I later learned, was the Egyptian goddess of love, mirth, and joy. Is it one of the gods? I asked. Hathor, Hathor. There's a long pause. Bird, he's flat, flat, a phoenix. You're silent again. Go ahead in time, now to your final day of that lifetime. Go to your final day. Out before you have died. Tell me what you see. She answered in a very soft whisper. I see people and buildings. I see sandals and sandals. There is rough cloth, some type of rough cloth. What happens? Go to the time of your dying now. What happens to you? You can see it. I do not see it. I don't see me anymore. Where are you? What do you see? Nothing, just darkness. I see a light, a warm light. She'd already died, already passed over to the spiritual state. Apparently she did not need to experience her spiritual death again. Can you come to the light? I asked. I am going. Can you look backward now on the lessons of that lifetime? Are you aware of them yet? No. She continued to wait. Suddenly, she appeared alert, although her eyes remained closed, as they always did when she was in the hypnotic trances. Her head was turning from side to side. What are you seeing now? What's happening? Her voice was louder. I feel someone's talking to me. What do they say? Talking about patience. One must have patience. Yes, go on. The answer came from the poet master. Patience and timing. Everything comes when it must come. A life cannot be rushed, cannot be worked on a schedule as so many people want it to be. We must accept what comes to us at a given time and not ask for more. But life is endless, so we never die. We never really were born. We must pass through different stages. There is no end. Humans have many dimensions, but time is not as we see time, but rather in lessons that are learned. There was a long pause. The poet master continued, everything will be clear to you in time, but you must have a chance to digest the knowledge that we have given to you already. Catherine was silent. Is there more I should learn? They've gone. I don't hear anybody. So, when I followed the Sai, the one thing that I learned there was Shraddha and Saburi, faith and patience. And here, this poet master is telling each one of us on call and people who will be listening offline that patience and timing. जब जो आना होता है तब वो आएगा. You can't speedify. You can't rush your life. Everything works as per a cosmic divine routine, a schedule. People want things essay, but it'll come to us when the time is right. And what we must do is we must accept what comes to us at a given time and not ask for more. Isn't this profound and beautiful? And this is practiced by so many elders. We all must learn to trust the process of life. Our lives are endless. So we never ever die because we were never really born. And we all know this, right? And one powerful statement for this morning for all of us to tune into is time is not as we see time, time is in the lessons that are learned. So the more lessons we learn, the more we tune in. Chapter number 9. Each week, another layer of neurotic fears and anxieties was stripped away from Catherine. Each week, she appeared a bit more serene, a bit more softer, a bit more patient. She was more confident, and people were drawn to her. Catherine felt more loving, and others gave love back to her. The inner diamond that was her true personality was shining brilliantly for all to see. Catherine's regression spanned millennia. Each time she entered a hypnotic trance, I had no idea where the threads of her lives would emerge. From prehistoric caves to ancient Egypt to modern times, she had been there, and all of her lives had been lovingly overseen somewhere beyond time by the masters. In today's session, she emerged in the 20th century, but not as Catherine. I see a fuselage and an airstrip, some kind of airstrip, she whispered softly. Do you know where it is? I can't see. Alsatian? Then more definitely Alsatian? In France? I don't know, just Alsatian. I see the name Warn Marks phonetic. Some type of brown helmet or a hat with goggles on it. The troop has been destroyed. It appears to be a very remote area. I don't think there's a town nearby. What do you see? I see buildings destroyed. I see buildings, the land is torn up from bombings. There's a very well hidden area. What are you doing? I'm helping them with the wounded. They're carrying them away. Look at yourself, describe yourself, look down and see what you're wearing. I have some sort of jacket on. I have blonde hair. I have blue eyes. My jacket is very dirty. There are many wounded people. Are you trained to help with the wounded? No. Do you live there or were you brought here? Where do you live? I don't know. About how old are you? 35? Catherine herself was 29 and she had hazel eyes and not blue. I continued the questioning. Do you have a name? Is it on a jacket? There are wings on the jacket. I'm a pilot, some type of pilot. You fly the airplanes? Yes, I have to. Who makes you fly? I'm in the service to fly. That's my job. Do you drop the bombs too? We have a gunner on the plane. There's a navigator. What kind of plane do you fly? Some type of chopper plane. It has four propellers. It's a fixed wing. I was amused because Catherine knew nothing about airplanes. I wondered what she would think fixed wing meant. But like the making of butter or the embalming of the deceased under hypnosis, she possessed a vast store of knowledge. Only a fraction of this knowledge, however, was available to her everyday conscious mind. I pressed on. Do you have a family? They're not with me. Are they safe? I don't know. I'm afraid. Afraid they will come back. My friends are dying. Who are you afraid will come back? The enemy. Who are they? The English, the American, armed forces, the English. Do you remember your family? Remember it? There's too much confusion. Let's go back in the same lifetime, back to a happier time, before the war, the time with your family back at home. You can see that. I know it's hard, but I want you to relax. Try and remember. She paused, then whispered, I hear the name Eric. Eric, I see a blonde haired girl, a child. Is that your daughter? Yes, it must be Margot. Is she close to you? She's with me. We're on a picnic. The day is beautiful. Is anyone else there with you besides Margot? I see a woman with brown hair sitting on the grass. Is she your wife? Yes, I don't know her. Do you know Margot? Look at Margot carefully. Do you know her? Yes, but I'm not sure how. I knew her from somewhere. It will come to you. Look into her eyes. It's Judy, she answered. Judy was presently Catherine's best friend. They had been in an instant rapport as their very first meeting, and they had become true friends, implicitly trusting each other, knowing the other's thoughts and needs before they were verbalized. Judy had repeated, yes, Judy, she looks like her, she smiles like her. Yes, that's good. Are you happy at home or are there problems? There are no problems. Yes, yes, it is a time of unrest. There's a problem deep in the German government, the political structure. Too many people want to move in too many directions. It will eventually tear us apart. But I must fight for my country. Do you have strong feelings for your country? I dislike war. I feel it is wrong to kill, but I must do my duty. Go back now, back to where you were, to the plane on the ground, and the bombings and the war. It's later the war was started. The English and the Americans are dropping bombs near you. Go back. Do you see the plane again? Yes. You still have the same feelings about duty and killing and war. Yes, we will die for nothing. What? We will die for nothing. Nothing? Why for nothing? Is there no glory in it? No defense of your land, for your loved ones? We will die for defending the ideas of a few people. Even though these were taken, they were the leaders of your country, they can be wrong. She quickly cut me off. They're not leaders. If they were leaders, there would not be so much internal strife in government. Some people call them mad. Does this make sense to you? Power crazy. We must all be mad to be driven by them, to allow them to drive us, to kill people and to kill ourselves. Have you any friends left? Yes, there are still some alive. Are there any that you're particularly close to in your airplane crew? Are your gunner and your navigator still alive? I don't see them, but my plane wasn't destroyed. Do you fly again in the plane? Yes, we must hurry to get the remaining aircraft off the strip before the return. Go into your plane. I don't want to go. It was as if she could negotiate with me, but you must to get it off the ground. It's so senseless. What kind of profession did you have before the war? Do you remember what did Eric do? I was second in command on a small plane, some plane flying cargo. So you were a pilot then too, yes. They took you away from home a lot. That took you, yes, she asked. She go ahead in time to the next flight. Can you do that? There is no next flight. Does something happen to you? Yes. Her breath was accelerating and she was becoming agitated. She'd gone ahead to the day of her death. What's happening? I'm running from the fire. My party is being torn apart from by the fire. Do you survive this? Nobody survives. Nobody survives a war. I'm dying. Her breathing was heavy. Blood is everywhere. I have pain in my chest. I've been hit in my chest and my leg and my neck, and there's so much pain. She was in agony, but soon her breathing slowed and became more regular. Her facial muscles relaxed and look of peacefulness came over her. I recognized the calm of the transition state. You look more comfortable. Is it over? I am floating away from my body. I have no body. I am the spirit again. Good, rest. You've had a difficult lifetime. You went through a difficult death. You need to relax, restore yourself. And what did you learn from that lifetime? I learned about hate, senseless killing, misdirected hate. People who hate and they don't know why. We are driven to it by the evil when we are in physical state. If there was a higher duty than duty to the country, something that could have been prevented you from killing, even if you were ordered a duty to yourself, yes, but she didn't elaborate. Are you waiting for something now? Yes, I'm waiting to go into a state of renewal. I must wait. They will come for me. They will come. Good. I would like to talk with them when they come. We waited for several more minutes. Then abruptly her voice was loud and husky, and the original master spirit, not the poet master, was speaking. You were correct in assuming this is the proper treatment for those in the physical state. You must eradicate the fears from their minds. It is a waste of energy when fear is present. It stifles them from fulfilling what they were sent here to fulfill. Take your cues from your surroundings. They must first be put into a level very, very deep where they no longer can feel their body. Then you can reach them. It's only on the surface that the trouble lies. Deep within their soul, where the ideas are created, this is where you must reach them. Energy. Everything is energy. So much is wasted. The mountains, inside the mountain, it is quiet, it is calm at the center, but on the outside is everything, is where the trouble lies. Humans can only see the outside, but you can go so much deeper. You have to see the volcano. Do it if you have to go deep inside. To be in physical state is abnormal. When you are in spiritual state, that is natural to you. When we are sent back, it's like being sent back to something we do not know. It will take us longer. In the spirit world, you have to wait and then you are renewed. There is a state of renewal. It's a dimension like the other dimensions, and you must succeed in reaching that state. This caught me by surprise. How could I be approaching a state of renewal? I have almost reached it. I asked incredulously. Yes, you know so much more than the others. You understand so much more. Be patient with them. They don't have the knowledge that you have. Spirits will be sent back to help you, but you are correct in what you are doing. Continue. The energy must not be wasted. You must get rid of the fear. That will be the greatest weapon you have. The master spirit was silent. I pondered the meaning of this incredible message. I knew I was successfully getting rid of Catherine's fear, but this message had a more global meaning. It was more than just a confirmation of the effectiveness of hypnosis as a therapeutic tool. It involved even more than past life regressions, which would be difficult to apply to the general population one by one. No, I believed it concerned the fear of death, which is a fear deep within the volcano, the fear of death, that hidden, constant fear that no amount of money or power can neutralize. This is the core. But if people knew that life is endless, so we never die, we never really were born, then this fear would dissolve. If they knew that they had lived countless lives before and would live countless times again, how reassured would they feel? If they knew that spirits were around to help them while they were in physical state, and that after death in spiritual state, they would join the spirits, including their deceased loved ones, how comforted they would be. If they knew that guardian angels really did exist, how much more safer they would feel. If they knew that acts of violence and injustices against people did not go unnoted but had to be repaid in kind in other lifetimes, how much less anger and desire for vengeance they would harbor. And if indeed by knowledge we approach God, or what kind of material possessions or power, when they are in the end in themselves and not in means in that approach, to be greedy or power hungry has no value whatsoever. But how to reach people with this knowledge? Most people recite prayers in their churches, synagogues, mosques, or temples, prayers that proclaim the immortality of the soul. Yet, after worship is over, they go back into the competitive ruts, practicing greed and manipulation and self centeredness. These traits retard the progress of the soul. So, if faith is not enough, perhaps science will help. Perhaps experiences such as Catherine's and mine, not to be studied, analyzed, or reported in a detached scientific manner by people trained in the behavioral and physical sciences. Yet, at this time, writing a scientific paper or a book was the furthest thing from my mind, a remote and more and unlikely possible. I wondered about the spirits who would be sent back to help me. Help me do what? Catherine stirred and began to whisper. Someone named Gideon. Someone named Gideon. Gideon, he's trying to talk to me. What does he say? He's all around. He won't stop. He's some type of guardian, something. But he's playing with me now. Is he one of your guardians? Yes, but he's playing. He's just jumping all around. I think he wants me to know that he's all around me everywhere. Gideon, I repeated. He's there. Does it make you feel better? Yes, he'll be back when I need him. Good. Are there spirits around us? She answered in a whisper from the perspective of a superconscious mind. Oh, yes, many spirits. They only come when they want to. They come when they want to. We are all spirits, but others, some are in physical state and others are in a period of renewal, and others are guardians, but we all go there. We all have been guardians too. Why do we come back to learn? Why can't we learn as spirits? Those are different levels of learning, and we must learn some of them in the flesh. We must feel the pain. When you're a spirit, you no longer have pain. It's a period of renewal. Your soul is being renewed. When you are in physical state in the flesh, you can feel pain, you can feel hurt. In spiritual form, you do not feel there is only happiness, a sense of well being, but it's a renewal period for us. The interaction between people in the spiritual form is different. When you are in physical state, you can experience relationships. I understand it will be okay. She had become silent again. Minutes passed. I see a carriage, a blue carriage, a baby carriage. No, a carriage that you ride in. Something blue, a blue fringe on the top, blue outside. Do horses pull the carriage? It has big wheels. I don't see anybody in it, but just two horses hitched to it, a gray one and a brown one. The horse's name is Apple, the gray one, because he likes apples, and the other's name is Duke. They're very nice. They won't bite you. They have big feet. Big feet. Is there a mean horse too, or a different horse? Oh, they're very nice. Are you there? Yes, I can see this nose. See his nose. He's so much bigger than I am. To ride the carriage by the nature of her responses, I knew she was a child. There are horses. There's a boy there too. How old are you? Very little. I don't know. I don't think I know how to count. Do you know the boy, your friend, your brother? He's a neighbor. He's there for some party. They're having a wedding or something. Do you know who's getting married? No, we were told not to get dirty. I have brown hair, shoes that button on the sides all the way up. Are these your party clothes? Good clothes. It's a white, some sort of white dress with something roughly over it, and it ties in the back. Is your house nearby? It's a big house. Is that where you live? Yes. Good. You can look into the house now. It's okay. It's an important day. Other people will be dressed well too, wearing special clothes. They're cooking food, lots of food. Can you smell it? Yeah. They're making some sort of bread meat. They told me to go back outside again. I was amused at this. I had told her it was all right to go inside, and now she had been ordered out again. Do they call your name Mandy? Mandy and Edward. Is he the boy? Yes. They wouldn't let you stay in the house. No, they're too busy. How do you feel about that? We don't care, but it's hard to stay clean. We can't do anything. Do you get in the wedding later that day? Yes. I see many people. It's crowded in the room. It's hot, a hot day. There's a parson there. The parson's there with a funny hat, a big hat, black. It comes over his face quite a ways. Is this happy time for your family? Yes. Do you know who's getting married? Just my sister. Is she much older? Yes. Do you see her now? Is she wearing a wedding dress? Yes. Is she pretty? Yes. She has lots of flowers around her hair. Look at her closely. Do you know her from another time? Look at her eyes and her mouth. Yes, I think she's Becky, but smaller, much smaller. Becky was Catherine's friend and co-worker. They were close. Yet Catherine's resented Becky's judgmental attitude and her intrusiveness into Catherine's lives and decisions. After all, she was a friend, not family. But perhaps the distinction was now not so clear. She likes me and I can stand near the front because she does. Good. Look around you. Are your parents there? Yes. Do they like you as much? Yes. That's good. Look at them closely. First, your mother. See if you remember her. Look at her face. Catherine took several deep breaths. I don't know her. Look at your father. Look at him closely. Look at his expression, his eyes, also his mouth. Do you know him? He's Stuart. She quickly answered. The Stuart had surfaced once again. This was worth exploring further. What's your relationship with him like? I love him very much. He's very good to me, but he thinks I'm a nuisance. He thinks children are nuisances. Is he too serious? No, he likes to play with us. But we ask so many questions, and he's very good to us, except we ask so many questions. Does that something annoy him? Yes, we must learn from the teacher, not from him. That's why we go to school to learn. That sounds like him talking. Does he say that to you? Yes, he has something important to do. He must run the farm. Is it a big farm? Yes. Do you know where it is? No. Do they ever mention the city or the state, the name of the town? She paused, listening carefully. I don't hear that. Could you want to explore more in the lifetime? So go ahead in time. Or is this, she cuts me off, this is enough. During this entire process with Catherine, I had been reluctant to discuss her revelations with other professionals, accurately, except for Carol and a few others who were safe. I had not shared this remarkable information with others at all. I knew the knowledge from our sessions was both true and extremely important, yet anxiety about the reactions of my professionals and scientific colleagues caused me to keep silent. I was still concerned with my reputation, career, and what others thought of me. My personal skepticism had been eroded by the proofs that weeks after weeks fell from her lips. I would often replay the audio tapes and re experience the sessions with all their drama and immediacy. But the others would have to rely on my experiences, powerful but nevertheless not their own. I felt compelled to gather even more data. As I gradually accepted and believed the messages, my life became simpler and more satisfying. There was no need to play games, to pretend to act out roles, or to be the other than what I was. Relationships became more honest and direct. Family life was less confusing and more relaxed. My reluctance to share the wisdom that had been given to me through Catherine began to diminish. Surprisingly, most people were very interested and wanted to know more. Many told me of their very private experiences of parapsychological events, whether ESP, deja vu, out of body experiences, past life dreams, or others. Many had never even told the spouses about these experiences. People were almost uniformly afraid that by sharing the experiences, others, even their own families, and therapists would consider them odd or strange. Yet these parapsychological events are fairly common, much more frequent than people realize. It is only the reluctance to tell others about psychic occurrences that makes them seem rare. And the more highly trained are the more reluctant to share. The respected chairman of a major clinical department at my hospital is a man who's admired internationally for his expertise. He talks to the deceased father, who has several times protected him from the serious danger. Another professor has dreamed that has provided the missing steps or solutions to his complex research experiments. The dreams are invariably correct. Another well known doctor, usually known who's calling him on the phone before he answered it. The wife of the chairman of psychiatry at a Midwestern university has a PhD in psychology. Her research projects are always carefully planned and executed. She had never told anyone that when she first visited Rome, she moved through a city as if she had a road map imprinted in her memory. She unerringly knew what was around the next corner, although she had never been to Italy previously and she did not know the language. Italians repeatedly approached her in Italian, continually mistaking her for a native. Her mind struggled to integrate the experiences in Rome. I understood why these highly trained professionals remained in the closet. I was one of them. We could not deny our own experience and senses, yet our training was in many ways diametrically opposite to the information, experiences, and beliefs we had accumulated, so we remained quiet. How wonderful. So much to learn, so much to imbibe, so much to understand that life is indeed magical, that all of us have been guardians to our loved ones in their lifetime. So we all know by now about soul families. We all are well aware that families reincarnate together and some are in waiting. They're waiting to be able to guide us through our life. We have been there too. And we've not only been guardians and angels, we've also been the darker elements. We have all gone through so many dimensions of good, bad, and worst, and the best. So today morning, let's go into ourselves. So lie down or sit comfortably. Take a deep breath in. Let this breathing relax your body. And a deeper exhale out. You could use a whoosh sound if you want. Connect back with your breath and take a deep breath in and a deeper breath out. One last time for this morning. A deep breath in, a deeper breath out. You're now in a relaxed state of being. You're circling back to your entire essence, your core. With your breathing in and breathing out, you are somehow centering, balancing, aligning your energies with your physical body. You're here to grow, to learn. So slowly and gently,
Keep breathing in and preparing yourself for going to the next level, a level of tuning into your superconscious mind. Now, let's pray to the masters who are around us at this point. That, dear masters, I'm here in this life of mine, waiting for a lesson to be taught to me. And I'm also waiting for my cellular level healing. So as I go deeper into my super consciousness, I request for you to heal me. I request for you to guide me. And I am open and receptive for your guidance, for your healing. So if you're lying down or seated, just drop your hands comfortably next to your sides. Just drop them absolutely effortlessly. Be ready to go into your super tuned mind and connect with what is the message for you for the day. 10. You're prepping up. 9. You're moving in closer. 8. You're here to learn for some lesson for this life eternity. 7. Chosen by the Almighty. 6. You're ready to go in more deeper. 5. You realize you're made of the 5 elements and you will merge back into them. 4. You're here to go in the right direction with the guidance of the masters. 3. You are ready to procreate. 2. There. 1. Enjoy being tuned in to whatever messages, experiences are being unfolded. Be blessed.